Hello folks and welcome back. In this video presentation we'll be covering working out. Alright, so once we get the body back to baseline health and we have identified our dreams, goals, i.e. under Dr. Happiness, our primal pattern diet type and any intolerances with foods under Dr. Diet, and sleep and stress under Dr. Quiet, and I've identified any muscular imbalances, we can start looking at devising a program to implement more challenging movement into your life. So it's important we kind of follow those steps, like I said before, flogging a dead horse, but need to re-emphasize this. Make sure you've covered all of the foundational aspects of what it requires in order for you to get back up to baseline health before you really do start turning up in your workouts and increasing intensity with your movement. So as mentioned before, stability must always precede force generation, i.e. we must lay the foundations first by establishing a strong core, good flexibility and proper muscle recruitment and balance before integrating any movement pattern that the body will become familiar with. This is of paramount importance because if we repeat a movement pattern repeatedly and our bodies are not in alignment, then we can develop faulty recruitment patterns that will inevitably impede performance and lead to injury. Dysfunctional movements will express itself through the entire kinetic chain, creating compensation in movement, leading to more imbalances. Unfortunately, it's just something none of us can escape. No matter how many painkillers you take or straps you put on, it's gonna rear its ugly head, like I said before. So it's important we address these foundational principles. Remember the law of facilitation. When an impulse is passed once through a certain set of neurons to the exclusion of others, it will tend to take the same course on a future occasion. And each time it transverses this path, the resistance in the path will be smaller. What this means for exercise is that every time you perform a movement pattern incorrectly, it becomes easier and easier for you to do it incorrectly and harder for you to do it correctly. Muscle has memory, and you want to be making sure that those new motor pathways are functional, efficient and balanced to prevent injury and ensure long-lasting performance. I highly recommend seeing an orthopedic specialist if you are unable to identify areas of imbalance yourself before embarking in an exercise program. This way you won't pick up bad habits and will be able to enjoy pushing your body more without any setbacks. It is also worth checking with your medical doctor if you're on any medical drugs before starting a workout program. The last thing you need is more complications in relation to your health. I will now be highlighting some key philosophies when it comes to working out, which will help you with your exercise goals, assuming you're at baseline health and are ready to hit the ground running. So first one, don't make the call on the couch. For most, the thought of exercising is a real drag, especially if you come home from work, see the fridge, couch and TV, or wake up in the morning and it's still dark and cold outside and your bed is still nice and warm. Or you could even be feeling it from the previous session a little bit, a little stiff, a little sore, a little tired. We've all been there. These thoughts often circulate when we are everywhere but the gym. Half the battle is turning up, and most will confess once they do drag their sulking asses into the gym and begin warming up, that blood flow completely reinvigorates the body and everyone leaves there feeling great and glad they made the decision to go. Always make the call after the blood and oxygen is flowing through your system after a decent warm-up. Don't make the call on the couch. Obviously, when your body is telling you to rest a full day, then do so. And if you are still tired and sore after a warm-up, then spend the time stretching, doing working exercises and active recovery sessions, i.e. working out from 40 to 60% of your maximum effort. Any type of movement will aid more towards your recovery than doing nothing. Like I said, for me personally, once implementing all these changes under Dr. Happiness, diet, quiet, and obviously movement with the work-in aspect and flexibility, what you'll find is you will have enough energy pretty much all the time to never feel like you need to go on the couch or you don't feel like you want to go and have a workout. I get up most days and I want to go to the gym because I have all this energy there, in my reservoir, in my reserves, that I want to go and burn off and utilize towards constructive and practical movement as part of my workout routine. And then that obviously then releases all the wonderful hormones I get afterwards. So I rarely have that concept of, I've got to go to the gym, I'm going to drag my ass into the gym, I'm going to feel, I feel so tired, why do I feel like this? It's not. So once you make these changes, what you find is you'll have naturally all this energy and these reserves, and so you won't be, you know, in the camp of those people who are kind of always preaching that you've got to, you know, master yourself or treat yourself like your inner bitch is kind of like, you know, being lazy and you've got to kind of, you know, whip it into action. It's just, you know, once you do make all these changes, like I said, I've been off caffeine for 2 years. I don't need caffeine to feel alert and energized. I eat right, all organic foods for my primal pattern diet type. Obviously stay adequately hydrated. I sleep well. I've obviously put up EMF protection with my fabric around the beds and using these Tesla negative ion devices. So it's really no mystery. So once you make all these changes and implement this into your life, hopefully you won't have to ever be in this situation where like, oh God, just got in from work, or, you know, you feel low on energy. And in that state, it's kind of a bit of a crisis, which you don't really want to be in. So hopefully you'll be able to avoid this, but times and days that you might be feeling a little bit like this, I can vouch, and a lot of people for that matter, you've probably been in this situation yourself, that once you go in and get warmed up, it's like you have a new lease on life. And then you could go from there, and that's when you really want to be gauging whether you should, you know, work towards your routine or just do an active recovery session, but at least get the blood flowing, which obviously will help aid in cultivating that energy. And like I said before, you can always do your work-in exercises as well. Trust your intuition. By building a better relationship with your body, you'll be able to intuitively feel what needs to be done when escaping the couch and rocking up at the gym. After warming up, you'll get a better feel for your body and whether you want to continue with the program, have a stretch session, or decrease the intensity and go for an active recovery. You don't have to be a drill sergeant and follow your program religiously. You know, train smarter, not harder. Trust the feedback your body has given you when you have warmed up and have the juices flowing. You'll know when you need to take it easy. Ideally, you only want to be participating towards your program when you feel like you can improve by at least 1 to 3%. If you don't feel like you can achieve this after the juices are flowing, then an active recovery, work-in, or stretching session is just as beneficial for you than the days you really go for it. And obviously you can see here, intuitive body scanning. It's what this whole program is designed to do, is to help you build a better relationship with your body, not only with the food you eat, but obviously with how you move as well, with your workouts and work-in exercises. Train, don't drain is an important concept to remind ourselves with, is that we grow stronger when we rest and not when we train. Training provides a stimulus for us to grow, and there is no need to overdo it in the gym to only feel depleted and ruined the next day. Remember, we don't want to eat into our energetic surplus to the point we start putting excess stress on the system. When we overtrain, injuries are more likely to occur as our peripheral nervous system fatigues, leading to decreased performance and elevated emotional states as our form and performance diminishes. And this often creates a lot of frustration as well, which again is just more stress on the system through that feeling, which is energy, which is being expressed in the body due to you being fatigued. So it's like a vicious spiral. So often it's good to just call it a day sometimes if you're not performing well, and not pushing the body beyond that its you know, capacity and its limit. So no pain, no gain. You know, this is a misnomer in this regard. It's all about training, again, smarter and not harder. And you can see here in the image, you know, that's it. Push, push, make it burn. Like it will do any good. So he's like basically burnt himself out to the point he's just a skeleton. Specificity. If you want to become good at something, then do it a lot. It's important to identify your workout goals so you can tailor an approach that is specific to what you want to achieve. For instance, you want to get someone who wants to run a marathon on a muscle building program. This goes without saying. Train the muscles and movements that can be replicated in your desired goals. You know, if it's wanting to build stronger legs and back, then a program that integrates squats, lunges and deadlifts will favor that individual and be their primary focus. Build the program around the goal and integrate that into your movement. Another one, ditch the scales. You know, muscle weighs twice as much as fat. Therefore, it can often be misleading when someone uses the scales to gauge their progress and find the weight stays the same or gets slightly heavier. As fat gets burned, muscle is put on, and although the weight may increase, your shape will certainly start to look a lot better. For every pound of muscle gained, you burn an extra 40 calories a day at rest. Your muscles are the furnace from which your metabolism ignites. More muscle mass makes it easier to burn through the fat. If you start cutting calories when you see your weight increasing, you will only trick the body into thinking it's winter and food sources are scarce, so it will start storing more fat and slowing your metabolism to preserve energy. For those of you who have been on a calorie restrictive diet, you may find that when you start eating right and exercising, you may experience weight gain before you start losing weight and getting smaller. This is because you must convince your body that you're not going to starve yourself again. This can take weeks or months depending on the individual. It's simply a matter of staying consistent again and retraining the body in this regard, and inevitably your body will stop storing fat and start burning it. Another important one is nutrient timing. Okay, to get the most out of your recovery, I recommend getting anywhere between 60 to 90 grams of carbohydrates to 20 to 30 grams of protein with 1 hour of you working out. Science has proven that our muscles are most sensitive to protein synthesis during this metabolic window. They've also found that getting the ratio of 3 grams of carbohydrates to 1 gram of protein increases uptake of protein into the muscle cells, helping to aid in recovery. This also switches our body into an anabolic muscle building state from a catabolic muscle destroying state, which sets the stage for growth and recovery. By eating or getting a protein shake in during this metabolic window, your metabolism will be heightened even more for the next 36 hours, and your protein synthesis will remain sensitive over the same time period, meaning more fat burning potential and faster recovery. The research showed that delaying the anabolic switch for longer than an hour post-workout had huge declines in metabolic activity and protein synthesis up to 48 hours after exercise compared to within the hour, which is that metabolic window. Although I don't really advocate protein shakes, I prefer to get my nutrients from whole foods post-workout, there is exceptions here in order to gain from this incredibly amazing benefit. For those who cannot get a whole meal, in 1 hour after a workout, I recommend investing in an organic protein powder that has the ratio of 3 grams of carbs to 1 gram of protein. And I can't emphasize this enough. In the book here, by John Ivey and Robert Portman, I remember reading many years ago when I was starting out my personal training journey, and I applied this concept with myself and my clients, and my goodness, it made a huge difference. So really do recommend it. If you want to find out more about this research that they did, I recommend obviously purchasing the book, which you can get on Amazon. So another concept, enjoy yourself and experiment. The gym should be a place of pleasure and enjoyment where you get to explore your body's potential and enjoy the grace of movement. Don't be afraid to experiment with new ideas, new movement patterns, new exercises and programs, and even make up your own for that matter. By doing so, you'll help to grow a strong relationship with your body's feedback mechanisms, which will give you more intuitive headway in the future when knowing how to go about working out for any given day based on how you feel. Again, another important one, because we're sat down all day, take the stairs. Modern technology with all these lifts and cars has made us innately very lazy. By taking the stairs or walking instead of taking the car or parking the car at the far end of the parking lot where there are lots of space, you'll help integrate more movement into your life, which will greatly diminish the debilitating effect of inertia and that kind of 90-degree disease that plagues most of society today. Okay, so little things like this will count long term for you. If you decide to walk instead of take the car, take the stairs instead of the lift, etc., it all adds up and it all helps aid in your health and vitality. Last but not least, consistency equals success. This one is self-explanatory, but we all know a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. By remaining consistent, the months will fly by and you'll be 6 months into your diet, lifestyle and exercise changes. Very glad you started. All right, so by constantly turning up and putting the hours in, you will inch towards your goal in an organic matter that will provide long-lasting health and wellness benefits for the rest of your life. And like I said before, it's important to implement mini goals as well. I know Dr. Happiness, but maybe specific to your workout regime, which we'll obviously touch on in program design, where you can start monitoring your progress in the gym by recording your kind of workouts that you're doing, by logging your workouts that you're doing, which will obviously help give you motivation going forwards in terms of looking back and seeing what you've achieved, as well as things like taking before pitches and after pitches, or kind of before when you started, and then obviously as you progress you'll be able to notice the change yourself as you implement these changes, which will be confirming to you and giving you great feedback that it's working. You're starting to feel better, not only looking better but feeling better with your emotional regulations and how you're thinking, peace of mind, clarity, all this, that and the other. It all builds on itself and starts to harmonize the whole system of your being, mind, body and spirit. So like I said, you'll be really glad that you did start and make these changes and kind of overcome those couple of months of bumpiness, as it were, when those old programming still rears its ugly head in your subconscious to try and pull you back into, you know, those old habits, and maybe those people around you, like I said, with the peers, might try and pull you back down into those old pathways. But it's up to you to be resilient, disciplined, assertive, and, you know, focused on carving those new pathways, which will inevitably give you that result you wish to see based on, you know, what you want to achieve. All right, like I said here, consistency equals success. So you've got to be the change you want to see, and it's all down to you at the end of the day. You can draw as much motivation from myself in this program and other people on YouTube, whatever works for you, but ultimately you've got to cultivate your own, get up and go and just get this thing done, implement these changes, and like I said, 6 months will fly by and you'll be like, wow, you know, what a difference that has made. So really do encourage you to make these changes and just give it a go. It's only 6 months. You know, it's a blink of an eye in this day and age, trust me. So yeah, thanks for watching and listening, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll be going over program design. Okay, cheers, I'll see you then, bye-bye.